Actually, briefly, on the 𝐂𝐶 thing. 𝐂𝐶 is working for Ghana, but he's going to play against Ghana. How? I don't understand.
Where in mind, like the 𝐂𝐶, I want him to help us with his train of thoughts, take us through his train of thought and what he thinks is going to happen once, how he even intends to navigate these choppy waters.
He said he hopes Ghana and Sudan qualify.
No, but actually the question is, why are we here? Because we knew he was head coach of Sudan.
Yes.
When eventually he was elected into the ESCO.
Yeah.
In fact, he was appointed as head coach of Sudan.
Before.
Yeah.
No, it was...
No.
So when
he was elected...
Yes, so his name was submitted
Yeah.
to be elected. Then he got the Sudan job before the GFA elections happened. And then he...
Basically, we're here because the FA took no action, did not anticipate that the conflict of interest potential would actually escalate into the reality where he will have divided or split loyalties. We're here because 𝐂𝐶 himself did not act to protect his integrity by walking away from one of those two jobs. Because the reality is that 𝐂𝐶, just like every member of the Executive Council who was sworn in last year, swore an oath of office.
Yeah.
𝐂𝐶, just like every member who swore that oath, swore to prioritize the development of Ghana football, which presumably includes the Black Stars of Ghana. Now his job essentially is going to see to the failure of the Black Stars at least over 2 games in those matches that we're going to play. The Executive Council will perform certain tasks that are related to not just the Black Stars, but the specific case of the AFCON qualifiers. And between now and March next year, that is the business of the Black Stars. So the idea that 𝐂𝐶 is going to recuse himself each time there's a conversation about the Black Stars, or that he has recused himself each time there was a conversation about the Black Stars beginning July last year up until now, for me, makes no sense. If that has happened, then it means that in the past year, there's been a clear case of dereliction of duty. In the wisdom of the framers of the statutes that govern Ghana football, the Executive Council needs to be made up of a certain number of people, with each person bringing a unique set of experience and skills so that they will work together. If one person is not performing their duty on that council, Ghana football suffers for it.
You know, and I think one thing that is also coming up in all of this is that the statute does not keep anybody away from having other duties beyond the Executive Council duties that they have. Yeah. So you have people like Achi, for instance, who also has some other engagement with CAF, some other private engagement.
Yeah.
However, it is this peculiar situation of you having obligation to the FA and also have an obligation with another FA. Yeah. And I think that's what Henry Asanchichum, communicated when we spoke to him, when he said that they are going to seek clarity from FIFA if...
The clarity already exists.
Look,
the code of ethics.
The code of ethics says,
so I don't understand.
Persons bound by the code shall not perform their duties, in particular, preparing or participating in the taking of a decision in situations in which an existing potential conflict of interest...
For us, I beg you.
Basically, where your interest conflicts with another entity that you represent, you will use, there is a clear case of interest. Now, it is not just the fact that you have to come and declare it. Declaring it does not cure the injury that one party or both parties will sustain. You then have to take active steps to avoid the occurrence of such damages or injuries. So in this case, simply coming out to say that, oh, I am 𝐂𝐶, there is an issue or there is a potential conflict of interest is not enough. The purpose of that provision is to ensure that that conflict of interest does not occur.
So bottom line, 𝐂𝐶 needs to resign from one of his roles.
He needs to walk away from one of those. Failing which, the FA has to intervene and compel him to walk away from the Executive Council job, because you can't force him to leave that Sudanese job.
Yeah, because at the end of the day also, there's a $10,000 fine and there could also be a ban for either of the parties. So that needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed. It's Ghana, Angola, Sudan, and Niger. Charlie, how are you seeing the group?
Charlie, see, the equation for qualification is set. 3 home wins, get 2 points away from home, then we have qualified.
And it is possible.
Baba Yara, we'll murder everybody for there. We'll beat 3 wins out of 3 at Baba, we'll get minimum, worst case scenario, 2 draws on the road, qualification is sealed.
Quick.
Jordan's hat trick to us come there. That your...
Oh no, we have Jordan and you, so that's for me. I'm not even. I don't even look bothered at all. I'm very calm. I'm very calm about the situation. But the Zoom ID is on the screen, so Zoomers, join quick. Zoomers, join quick. Me today, I say I'm not going to engage in anything Ronaldo because I'm tired. It's just fake outrage, fake everything. Like,
What are you explaining?
Oh, I don't. It's like my breath. I'm tired. I'm tired. But you see, the interesting thing about this life is that growing up, I learned something. You know, I think it was like 07 day when Ronaldinho's pot belly came and they were bashing him and criticizing him. Today, people say he's a good. Nobody will remember the useless talks during the time. It's the numbers and the performances that will count.
Oh, nobody will remember the useless performance.
So in 10, 15 years, the numbers will be there. The Gen Zs and the Gen Xs and whatever. When they come and see that, they will not care about what people are saying today. They don't care. So, yeah,
but what's funny is that, you know, then I started to say, I don't go talk, I don't explain anything.
But you didn't explain.
No, but you told us, so I have to answer. Then I'll say I will not talk. I talk finish right now. I won't talk again. I won't say anything again. I won't say anything again. So,
but the truth of the Ronaldo situation is, irrespective of how the Euros ended, it doesn't taint his legacy. Except that a lot of, including myself, feel this was avoidable. And the fact that he perhaps does not realize that he's no longer the same player he was 2 or 3 years ago. And that extreme belief in his confidence is something that players of his ilk often have got. And it's understandable, except to say that at a certain point, you have to take steps to protect your legacy. And I think at this point, he needs to realize that this cannot continue.
The bottom line is that he doesn't select himself. We have seen all around the world. In fact, the World Cup, when Fernando Santos got tired, he benched him.
Yeah.
If Martinez doesn't see his use, he will bench him. Otuado didn't see the day I use, he benched him. It's as simple as that. Ronaldo does not select himself. So if he says it's avoidable, if Ghana calls me right now, I'm not a footballer, I'll go and play. Because Ghana has called me.
See, you have nothing to lose.
I know the base. I will go.
You have nothing to lose.
Ronaldo believes he's good and the coach believes he's good and they select him. He's not to tell the coach that I won't play. He will play. If the coach doesn't need him, they'll bench him. Ronaldo will retire. When Portugal are tired, they'll stop calling him.
I just want to make this point that, look, one of the areas of this Ronaldo conversation that I find quite harsh in terms of the criticism that I'm entitled to him is that you look at some of the players in that Portuguese squad and how they failed to turn up this tournament. It does appear because Ronaldo is a star man, they've gone unnoticed. Rafael Leao, and look at what he does at AC Milan and what he's come to do at the Euros. He didn't quite turn up. You look at even Bruno Fernandes, to be very frank, with the exception of the goal he scored, courtesy Ronaldo's assist, he didn't turn up. Quite a number of players in that Portuguese squad, they didn't turn up.
Yeah.
And even in this tournament, to be fair, Kylian Mbappe has not turned up, exception of the penalty he scored.
And a number of players, people who are claiming Ronaldo is finished, who are also still expecting the high standards from him. The people who claim that there are other players better than him are the ones who are not going at the other players who are supposedly better than him, but are focusing on the one who is not good.
They explain.
But that is cool. No, I'm just.
No, but it's an important.
Yeah, it's an important point. Like, understand the logic. Understand the logic.
It's an important perspective that I think, you know.
When you understand the logic, then you see where it's coming from. I always say that. Look. Okay, this is my show. I can say what I want to see.
The thing about smart people...
No, this is a wise saying, and I'm sure you guys will use it in the future.
Okay.
Foolishness is always exposed when you apply it equally in similar situations. If I say, oh, this, let's say, Achu is wearing a white shoe, black shirt, some way, it's not nice. You understand? Maybe because Achu
in that moment, it was convenient to say.
It was convenient to say. And Zach wears the same thing. Oh, Zach's own is nice. Right now, where is the consistency?
Yeah.
You understand? If you apply it to similar situations, you see that it doesn't make sense. And once you apply it to other, you think God is good. My brother this week too did the same thing. And nobody said anything. Just when I know that, oh, it is okay. But let's talk about the hosts.
Oh, my goodness.
Germany also went out. In fact, I mentioned before the game, I thought it was going to be the best game on the competition. In terms of chances created, it was a nice game.
Yeah.
End-to-end stuff. Poor finishing, which we expected. But at the end of the day, Spain showed their class. Merino coming off the bench to score in the 119th minute. See, we're running commentary. See, Ipenia, I remember Nkong. Ipenia. Oh, 2008 Ghana, Cameroon.
Yeah.
I remember. See, for a host nation, it was 1 minute away from penalties.
You see, I think the feeling when you lose on penalties is different from, conceding in that last minute. Penalties, you say, 50-50.
This one.
But last minute.
You prepare your 5 and then your possible sudden death.
Remember
biggest man was doing it.
Remember the famous Mourinho ad from a few years ago where he said, destiny has seized your hands. You have no option than to succeed. That's what happened to the Spanish. This was not a game they were going to lose. And look, for once, forget about the tactics. Some of the things that happened in the game were not normal. Maybe we didn't recognize it when it was happening, but when you look back on it, for example, that goal that did not go in, the Fulkrug attempt, makes no sense. Makes no sense to me. Then there was a penalty incident that now they are later explaining to us that the UEFA, for whatever reason, gave the referees an explanation that the protocol has changed for this year. So even if the effort is on target, the arm is not in a natural position, but it is pointing downwards and not towards the ball, and it blocks the goal-bound shot. The advantage should be taken away from the attacking team because the arm was pointing downwards.
It doesn't make sense.
A protocol that
makes sense.
The last thing that I saw after the game that I was like, okay, maybe this was it. I mean, it was written in the skies, written in the stars, was, you saw the celebration Mikel Merino did?
Yeah.
It was a recreation of
his father's
celebration in the same stadium, in the same end of the goal, 33 years ago for Osasuna. What are the chances that something like that, you can recreate your father's celebration in a different place, different tournaments, different game, but in the same stadium, wearing the same colors and on the same corner flag? For me, look, let's not talk tactics or any of those. Yesterday was just not meant to be for Germany, and as much as they tried, Spain worked for it, and I think that the stars aligned for them.
And I think one man we need to mention, is Toni Kroos, and the fact that he's officially exiting football international club career.
That's what makes me sad.
And he's shall make he go Saudi.
You know what makes me sad? On a day where Toni Kroos is saying bye-bye to football, agenda people have done, Ronaldo's matter has come to come. They're not even able to praise and celebrate Kroos in peace.
Yeah, man. But watching the game, yesterday was also, those of us who perhaps felt he had 1 year or 2, playing a bit part role, not playing so many games in him, also understood why, Charlie. He knows that his body cannot cope with the intensity of the game at his age. He was making a lot of rush tackles, a lot of late tackles, because he simply didn't have the legs and the energy to cover. And yesterday, I thought the referee knew this is his last hurrah. There's no point going to show him a red card. And so he just, even if he went against the Spaniard.
Okay, that's
because that's the only explanation for the number of fouls he got away with without being booked.
But later today, it's England, Switzerland,
yeah,
and Turkey, the Netherlands. Turkey themselves, they've had some issues. I don't know how UEFA is taking some of these decisions. So 2 celebrations, one gets a fine, suspended, suspension, and another person gets suspended for 2 games because of, there are some undertones to the celebration nonetheless. But big game coming up for...
And the other celebration, there were no undertones to it.
But these things were to be expected. In the history of the Euros, this is the first time, or this is the biggest assembly of Balkan states in the European competition, up to 5 of them. We've had Albania, Switzerland, Romania, Serbia, Slovenia, all of them in the competition. Their history and the friction among those countries means that this was to be expected, especially when there's been recent clashes, fights, where some of the players who were playing have actually suffered for it. So, for example, the Albanian player who led the chance had his home and his family bombed a few years ago.
See, these are some of the reasons why I don't like us mixing... Let's talk about the football. It's England versus Switzerland.
Yeah.
Quick one. We'll be at a Heritage Craft Brewery, 4 o'clock, live commentary on Joy 99.7 FM. So come through. Let's enjoy the game together. It's Bellingham, Aura. Bellingham, forced aura. Harry Kane, star boy, but who is being asked to bow down to Bellingham's forced aura. But England versus Switzerland, my very good friend Xhaka is playing. So me, I'm very interested in this game.
Today, Gareth Southgate says he's going to use Saka
wing back.
He should do what he wants to do.
Make him win, Keke.
It's his team.
Make
He
him
should
win,
do what he
Keke.
wants
Make
to
he
do.
just win, eh?
Fortunately for him, we're in that stage of the tournament where the performances do not matter. It's just the results.
Yeah.
Get the job done, and secure qualification. So
Okay, you know what? We won't do the Netherlands game here. We will do it on Zoom. Zoomers! Are my Zoomers in? Do I have Zoomers? I mean, the most exciting part of this show is the Zoom. Louis! Swag Lord Louis. They say I have somebody on the Zoom called Louis. So if I'm mentioning the name, it's not. Louis! Swag Lord Louis! I beg, unmute yourself so that we can hear you.